Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Michael Schur, Francis Maxwell. This is the first time that Michael and Francis have ever sat together on a sports
A-list
panel.
cast, yeah.
We don't even speak off camera.
Yeah,
so
we don't even speak the same language.
Yeah.
So he just said we don't even speak the same language. I'll be translating what Francis says, so Michael, you'll be able to understand.
That's great.
All right, so we're going to begin with a little look at maybe who the worst commissioners and best commissioners are in sports. Francis, I think we know where you're headed here, and I think I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, softball is a terrible... No, I'm joking.
Let's introduce the candidates first. From Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, the new commissioner. Welcome to the show. From the National Basketball Association, he looks like Nosferatu, but he governs like William McKinley. It's Adam Silver.
I think it's pronounced Nosferatu.
What did I say?
Nesferatu. But
I'm
a classic movie guy, so.
Yeah. Nosferatu is good. Yeah. But I just came up with it on the spot. So I mean, it was the last second poll. From the National Football League, Roger Goodell.
Oh, he's a front runner for me, maybe.
There's no applause there. From the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman joins us. Oh, no booze, no nothing.
Nothing. We're just going to let, it would be great if we could find somebody booing him, if that's out there somewhere.
Yeah,
for the next one, you'll find a lot of people going.
And from the Federation of International Federations
Football,
the Federation, the International Football Associations of Federations
of corruption of whatever.
Sepp Blatter joins us, one of the 5 candidates. Okay, so Francis, we know who you're going to rank last. Why don't you begin?
Absolutely. So, I mean, where do you want me to start? Sexism, homophobia, corruption, all of the above. Sepp Blatter has ran FIFA like a dictatorship. He's been involved in it for years, passed off the opportunity of somehow many candidates coming in to try and overthrow him, but still he remains in term. And he gave everyone that glimmer of hope and be like, after Brazil, I'm going to step down. But no, he's going to keep running, going to keep running again. I hope to God David Ginola will overthrow him in the upcoming presidency, but...
When's that election? When do they?
It comes up at the end of before the Euros, so I think it's in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, before the Euros. But he comes up with ingenious ideas, you know what I mean? Like building 300 million stadiums in the middle of the Amazon forest and stuff like that. Like he the guy who pushes forward these ideas. He has his lobbymen.
Well, you can put that right up against putting a hockey team in Columbus if you want. But
it seems that there is it's one thing, obviously, you're looking to make money, you're looking to extract and extort, if you will, as much money as possible from whatever countries are given the World Cup. But the sort of callous disregard for what you actually do to that country. I mean, you're supposed to leave, we're all taught the Super Bowl comes to Phoenix and to Glendale, and we think there's a positive economic impact for that. It does not seem like the World Cup coming to Brazil leaves much of a positive economic impact for the overwhelming majority of
And there was no
Brazilians.
trickle-down effect. Like,
right.
We've given it nearly...
There's no trickling with FIFA.
There's
no trickling.
Well, it's a little bit like the Olympics, too. I mean, we should put Juan Antonio Samaranch in this.
These guys seem
even though he hasn't been alive,
they're probably
I don't think.
friends. They're probably friends.
Yeah, but but it seems like the same sort of corruption that exists.
And it's the corruption, to those who look more integrated into it, is the underlying fact that's why a lot of people dislike him. But just from an everyday perspective, you might not know soccer is a sport, but he disregards like women participating in the sport, and he says that maybe they should wear shorter shorts if that's the only way people will ever take them seriously. And he, whenever asked about corruption, whenever it's a female reporter, he'll always answer with, "Listen, lady." Like, so he answers like,
that's
"Listen,
adorable." Now, the Devils advocate that for a brief moment. Soccer, most popular sport in the world, thriving. Near as I can tell, there are 5 successful leagues, Champions Leagues. Everything happening simultaneously and inexplicably to American audiences. But I mean, the sport is thriving. Television deals here in America. It's thriving everywhere in the world except in the United States. Doesn't he deserve? He must be doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that he has helped push the game in ways that more people are going to be exposed to it, but in ways to help further the game from, I mean, especially like you're getting given a gift and all you have to do is kind of just steer it in the right direction.
So
you're given a brand new car and you're just like, you just drive that.
Anybody reasonably smart would have soccer where it is.
Of course it is.
Without
and
the negatives.
I understand. I think that's for a lot of people, they'll agree. Like, you can't really go wrong. Not many rules have changed in the game. You've been given a competition that's going to draw millions of viewers in the World Cup, and each competition has been laid there. And what he's done for me is he's hindered it. We now have a World Cup coming up that's potentially going to be in Russia and in Qatar.
Yeah, that's
like, could you think of any two worse places to probably have it? No offense to those people that are in there.
I love Qatar.
But it's now in Qatar, specifically, I've spoke about it, you're now going to be putting players' lives in jeopardy unless you move
just
the
because
location.
of the heat.
Just because of the heat. There's workers out there dying. And do you know what they're doing to solve that? Is they're throwing them in from North Korea and having them work on it, and then they'll die.
All right, Michael, your thoughts. Worst commissioner.
I mean, Sepp Blatter did get us all to know everything there is to know about soccer that we know. He has not yet, and this is his most egregious flaw, explained how you can loan a player. I still don't get that. All right, so that to me is the worst thing about Sepp Blatter. The National Hockey League has been led by a man named Gary Bettman now for a long time. He is a pawn of the ownership, as most of these commissioners tend to be. And I think what we have in Gary Bettman, though, is somebody who has taken the game, diluted the product, not pushed the product. Sepp Blatter never put a light on the soccer ball so that you could follow it. Gary Bettman lit the hockey puck. I think that in terms of the sports world, he is the absolute worst commissioner. He has led the NHL into obscurity. He ruined the ESPN deal, which was the best thing that the NHL had going for it. He struck deals with NBC when people just weren't watching it. He has expanded to the point where you are in markets that just can't thrive. He has shut Canada out of that for the most part. Winnipeg got a team. They got a franchise again when there was an insolvent franchise. So the whole notion that that insolvent franchise was in Atlanta, a place that the NHL had already failed. Yet he went into Atlanta to watch them fail again, and then they went to Canada. But Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I mean, these are places that are funny to people who don't know them. But in the hockey world, that's your core audience. That's what boosts them up. He has had a complete disregard, and he built a hockey arena in the Amazon.
I put Blatter seems evil. So I can't. He's like a cartoon villain evil. So I think he has to be last.
Well, if you're going to go by looking how they look, Adam Silver.
No, of course that. No, I mean,
someone actually wrote a cartoon about him and was going to put it out there, saying like the amazing Sepp Blatter, who was all for everything. And he banned that cartoon from happening.
No, he's like, I think he's a Dan Snyder type bad guy. So I put him fifth. I mean, I agree with you. I think
banning cartoons has gone too far.
Yes, I mean, how can you ban cartoons?
Yeah, well, he is the epitome of evil on this list. Gary Bettman has failed in part because he's made it by moving the NHL into North Carolina and into Columbus and ignoring Canada. He's made it so easy for the sort of mainstream sports folks to ignore the NHL. I mean, it probably ought to be in 22, 24 markets that care about hockey, care passionately about hockey.
And they're there, those.
Yes,
those
they're there, and
exist.
nobody's saying it, and that would include probably 5 or 6 teams in Canada. I think after the year that Roger Goodell had, that he goes as the second worst commissioner on my list, because it's atrocious. They've tried to rally out of it, but I don't think they have. I thought it was incredibly fitting that after the interception, after Tom Brady took a knee, that there was a big giant fight on the field.
Yeah.
It seemed a fitting way to cap this NFL season. The tone deafness, the lack of recognition until literally forced into a corner to react to the violence in the game, the domestic violence in the game, and of course the as I said, the violence on the field and the concussion. So I put Goodell above Bettman, or below Bettman.
Right. But when it came to firing Warren Sapp, boom,
that's right.
They learned their lesson.
That in that case they.
Yeah.
So I have Blatter as the worst, and then Bettman, and Goodell is the second worst, and then Bettman. And then, unbelievably, the labor lawyer for Major League Baseball comes in as the second best commissioner.
Right.
Now, that said, baseball has had labor peace for a long time. Adam Silver gets some credit for the seeming,
Sterling.
He gets huge credit for Donald Sterling and the labor peace that exists. He was a big hand in helping David Stern negotiate through that as his number 2. Adam Silver right now, after the Donald Sterling and the way the NBA is thriving, seems like right now unquestionably the best commissioner going. And Rob Manfred's only been on the job like a couple hours.
He hasn't been able to suck yet.
He hasn't been able to suck yet. But I think given time. But yeah, I mean, the idea of a commissioner standing up to the owners now in this world, reading off of this list, it seems inconceivable. You know, Silver gets credit for it, but he stood up to an owner that all the other owners had long been eager
Right. He didn't really
to
stand
shed.
up to the Hawks, I guess, but they kind of worked it out.
Yeah, they worked it out. Who knows? I'm sure there was pressure exerted, and,
Yeah.
and they're moving
And they
on.
said,
So-
we're going to win instead.
Yeah, well, unbelievable Hawks. Okay, so there you have it. So I think if we, I think Blatter beats Bettman for low man on the totem pole, but Michael makes a compelling case.